我看先录集中了，好了，我们现在应该是看到的是全部的画面嘛？天哪，人家看到的是什么啊？这个是人家远端 ，I don't know， 管他的，好了，就这样子啊。OK，we try our best。我们大概是全国第一排第一个人用这个，用视讯做观课的好不好？好，再来还要放大屏幕，Okay, so the graph depicts the occurrence of abortion in two different countries. First one, developing and developed countries. This is the very start to tell other people what is the graph talking about. However, if we start from this, we can also go deeper. What does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, if we wanted to only talk about this, would you please write down, try to use the two graphs and describe what you see here. But be smart. There are already some lines aside. And what is that? Take a look. You have 1 minute. Take a look. What are the lines beside? What are the lines beside information? And try to use the information combined with the sentence that is given on the top. And try to make a sentence. For example, the graph depicts, what is the graph telling you? Yes. You don't have that? Okay, for those people who don't have the handout, please come forward. You should have two. Come on, please. One is listed there and the other one is that. And you should also have a writing sheet. Do you have that? Okay. One is English and the other one is Chinese.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so coming back with this, how can you use this line and to describe this? I'm going to give you my first example, and then I'm going to give you 1 minute to talk about your own sentence. My first one is, because there are aside, compare with this. This is talking about there are approximately 25 million illegal abortions. And there is also a number. Among that, 55% of the case was shown here. So I combine the sentence, and the sentence goes, everybody please read that out loud enough. Go. The graph, go. The graph depicts that 55% of the abortion cases occurred in the developing countries. All right. So the second way, of course, you can just talk about 55. Try to copy the number given by you. Yet, the second way is that if that is 55, we can use half, H-A-L-F, the word. How can you describe this if that is 55? Is it exactly half? No, it is more than half, exactly. So how can you describe the sentence with more than half? The graph depicts that more than half of the abortion cases occurred. Right, exactly. The graph depicts that more than half of the abortion cases occurred in developing countries. So these are two different ways that you can either use the number or by changing a little bit of the words so that you can describe the same meaning. And now it is the way to open and report the main features in the graph. That is step one. Ladies and gentlemen, write down each one of the words. I'm going to cover this up. So would you please write down your own sentence in this one. Take out your sheets and practice using the examples. You may just, if you don't know what to write, you can just follow the way that I show it to you. If you have some new ideas, you can also have your own example sessions. So feel free to copy mine, even though I already copied it up. Try to recall your memory, that will be fine. Or use a new sentence to describe this, that is also okay. All right, this is the first sentence that we go on, and I wanted to move it on to the aside. And the next one, if we take a look on this, that is on the opposite. You can tell by the big differences. While these are 55 versus 45%, yet you can tell there's a big difference between the two percentage among the two. So how can you use the sentence to describe this? Again, you can also copy the same information on the side. So how can you describe this? Ladies and gentlemen, try to use this topic sentences and describe the information on the side of illegal and unsafe abortion. Now, do it now. Yes.
Sorry, I'm late. Sorry for interrupting your meeting. I sincerely apologize for my lateness, and I won't be late next time.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Your apologize has been broadcast to Taiwan around the world. Yeah, thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, one more minute before I invited you to share your sentence with your neighbor. Please write down. And the sentence that you write can be written on this. The far end, you see that. You should do.可以看学生吗？有哪些可以看学生啊？这个看我有一个是可以看学生的，这个可以看你们。Yes, there you go. 好了。
看不到我。
Yes. This is how you work hard. Yes, yes. This is how you work hard. 好啊，大致上一个人。All right, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please share your points, share your sentences with your neighbors for that graph. You will have a minute for now. Go. What did you write?
I don't have neighbor.
Yes.
We were talking about illegal and unsafe abortions. How can you use the sentence to describe illegal and unsafe abortion?
Share your sentence with your neighbor.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to ask, how about国艺? Oh, you're still writing about
Still
it.
writing.
How about Xiangdong? What is your sentence in describing this? Yes. The second one about the big differences.
The bar chart suggests that most of the
Well, why don't you stand up and stand probably here so that people can see? You know, yes. Wave your hand so that people can see. Yeah, okay. Go.
The bar chart suggests that most of the illegal abortion cases came from developing countries.
One more time, please.
The bar chart suggests that most of the illegal abortion cases came from developing countries.
Okay, the most of the cases came from developing countries. That is very good. That is simple and very good. And I am going to move it on to the second example. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look. The second example. Yes, great. The second example goes down here. All right, we can have several sentences right here. Other than the majority or the most of the cases, we can also, the easier way is to copy down the numbers beside that is given to you. So the first one, would you please read out loud? The statistic shows that. Go.
The statistics shows that 90% of state-sponsored illegal abortions are performed in
Developing countries. Or there are some people who are smart enough, he tried to combine the two numbers together. Because on the top, the safe one is 25 million, while the unsafe one is 20 million. So altogether, that is 45 million. And among the 45 million, illegal one is already 20 million. So the second way to say that, you can tell that there are 40% of abortions are performed illegally worldwide. This is also the second way that you can also talk about the same thing. So is there any questions so far? Okay, so other than only to open and report the main features, we can also talk about two things when you wanted to compare and contrast. So what is the sentence that can be given here? Repeat after me. There is not. Let's go.
There is not
A considerable differences between A and B, or there is a great deal of similarity between A and B. Okay, these can be talking about not only on one thing, shows you, tells you, but you try to compare and contrast. So if we wanted to focus on this, because there is a bigger similarity or differences among here, and what we can say is that, ladies and gentlemen, tell me this sentence. Let's read it together. Go. Considerable differences between nations when it comes to legal or unsafe abortion. So if you wanted to talk about this, there's a big differences between this country and that country, that is between A and B. But in which way, in which aspect, you can put the aspect in the end of the sentence, try to emphasize what are you talking about. So the opening of the sentence and also the compare and contrast is an easy way for you to illustrate what you want to say. However, if you wanted to support your idea, there is one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move it on to the third one. Not only making compare and contrast, you also wanted to support your idea. And this is the challenge for you now. We have learned A is how many times as many as B. We were talking about since there's a major differences or major similarity, but we wanted to compare the number. So now the challenge is try to use the sentence, talk about the information right over here, pick up the information that you think can be applied to the sentence pattern. Now, go. as many times as or 3 times higher than. These we're talking about the numbers, the figures that is double or triple or how many times, so that you can support your idea of compare and contrast. You can try. One more minute, and I'm going to invite you to share your partner, and then I'm going to call some of the guys come up and write down the sentence that you wrote for this. Gentlemen, when I walk around, I saw a lot of guys starting from the sentence, 叫做 developing countries is 9 times. 你的主词不会是国家是另外一个国家的9倍。你一定是 you are talking about the number of the case, right? These numbers are the number of the case. It's not the name of the country is 9 times bigger. No. It is the case, the number of the case is higher. So be careful when you are using the A and B. 在最后1分钟 if you're done, feel free to share with your partner, share with your neighbors. What have you write on the board? So I am now later on, I am going to ask people to come up and write down your sentence right over here. All right, is there any gentleman who wanted to win a I speak out point, extra point for today? The first cover is going to have I speak out for today as a bonus. Anyone? All right. So how about Dongyan? Would you like to give it a try? Yeah, why not? Go, pick up a box and write down your sentence. And how about Wei Hong? Would you like to give it a try? Yes, pick up a box and write down your sentence. And the third one goes to Shaobing. Would you please come up and write down your sentence? Yeah. How many times? Pick up any box you find. 哦，那没关系，叫做写到一样的，就是英雄所见略同。Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at this. And I found that most of the kids choose the similar phenomena to talk about, and that's fine. And the most important thing is that you know how to describe it. That is the main idea of practicing this. So let's take a look at this here. The number of illegal abortions in developing nations. So the key word is we were talking about the number. The number in the nation is, right, no matter how big the number is, that is a number. So the number is 9 times as many as is 9 times as many as that, or the number in developed nations. If you don't want to use the number again, what is the word that you can use? Right, you can use that in developed nations. That is also okay. Or the second one, same idea, but a little bit different. Illegal or unsafe abortions happen in the developing countries. It's 9 times higher than those happen in the developed countries. Yes, this is okay. Excellent. And then the third one, the number of unsafe abortions performed in developing countries is 9 times. You can say as many as, or higher than, or more than. Again, what is the missing word? Yes, that in developed countries. Yes, numbers 可数，但是 because we were talking about one number， 它无论是250万也是一个 number， 这个样子。Yes, so pay attention to this, and I'm coming back to our own hard point as well. And then, yes, 声响. Coming back to our own slide. All right, so, okay, ladies and gentlemen, for this, you share most of the time, most of you share the same idea with each other, and let's continue to take a look at what are the other sentences we can describe.
哇，这写的
哦，这个是一个你们的其他的同学的字，
我老板那也画起来，
那就写对了。这样子。Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, let's read them together. They're the number 才对，不是 their number. The number, I'm sorry, the number of illegal or safe abortions in developed countries is 9 times as many as that in developed countries. These are the same. Or, ladies and gentlemen, 大家来看到这一个，要来给大家来看。So all in all, we learned three different ways of describing a photo or describing a chart. First of all, how can you select and record the main features in the graph? Number 1, you open. What does that mean by to open? You tell the people what is the graph about. So the graph depicts, the statistic shows that this is about how many cases happen in the world, something like that. It is the meaning that you tell what is the topic of the graph, what is the title of the message. Then continue. You try to make compare and contrast. So you go deeper. When you go deeper, you can have different sentences. For example, there's differences between A and B, or there are some other sentences you can say A is something while B is something else. Or you can tell people directly, saying the most obvious differences between A and B is. For example, the most obvious differences between A and B is the number of the cases. Or there are some other ways to highlight, to tell other people you wanted to make compare. Ladies and gentlemen, let's read the words together. Let's go. Number 1. Or nevertheless. Very good. When you are talking about some same between each other, so what can you say? The first one is similarity. Second one, in the same way. The third one, likewise. So it is how you can make compare and contrast. Yet, when you make a compare and contrast, you needed to pick up some information to highlight and support your idea. So you can use the sentence by telling people the figure, the small numbers down here. There are how many times higher, or how many times as much as, or the third one, would you please read out loud the comments? Their common or the common characteristics include, let's go.
Their common characteristics
This include A, B, and C. Then you can tell the others. And ladies and gentlemen, I am now inviting you to combine the 3 things together. Go back to take a look at the chart. Can you make this 3 parts? Open it, compare something, and then support your idea of something. And then try to make it just like a small passage. I'm going to show you a little bit. This is what we can do. If you wanted to compare A and B, combine the 3 elements together, you already make it a first paragraph. So I'm going to change the screen. Coming back to you. You do have some help with this. Can you please write down your first passage using the help with this? Combine them to talk about still the same 2 bars together. Make it more like a passage or a paragraph, the first paragraph. So you do have some time to write it down as a practice for now. It is now a practice to combine the sentences into a complete passage. You don't have to start a new sentence. Try to combine the old sentence. And the use, for example, I have to go back to the screen so that you can see. Use some of the transition sentences. For example, however, in contrast, and make it more like a complete passage. Okay, now it's the peer review time. Would you please, once you finish, would you please share what you wrote to your partners, to your neighbors? All right, share your sentence with your neighbors, please. Go. Take a look at what they write so that you can also modify your own sentences. Please, go. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people have been doing good, and you know the skill of combining from big to detail. And so, for example, from this word, the students is also talking about from bigger picture to detail. And let's take a look at what he wrote. He wrote, as illustrated by the bar chart A. The statistics depict that the amount of legal and safe abortions in developing countries is just slightly higher than that of the amount in developed countries. He was talking about this. This one is just slightly higher. Nonetheless, however, we can see a great difference from the bar B. The illegal abortions in the developing countries is 9 times as many as that. It should be that in developed countries. Even though there are minor mistakes, yet the whole thing can be seen as rather complete passage to talk about the differences of the two. And if we wanted to have this further go on, ladies and gentlemen, you may want to highlight the end. We start from opening a sentence, compare the two charts, go to detail to talk about how many and how much. How do you make a conclusion? Usually, the conclusion will be back to you. What did you learn from seeing the numbers? So, for example, you can tell by contracting A to B, or by comparing A and B, I learned something. The second one can be, the differences between A and B are important because something. So, gentlemen, as the very final one, I wanted you to put down final line in this to make a close for this passage. Here, the blue one. Choose either one. What did you, or you think the differences is important because? Choose one and write down your finding in comparing and contrast the meaning of the two. Gentlemen, don't worry, because this time the information is really not much. So probably something you learned is limited because of the information that we read is little. And when we learn more, probably, for example, combine with the statistics down below, with the numbers and figures down below, you will figure more. Oh yeah. 今天第8节英文课。Yes. Gentlemen, we only have like 1 or 2 minutes left, and I'm going to do some preview of our next lesson. Because today we focus us on the bar, and the reason why we focus on the bar is 103、108考的都是刚好都是这个。However, for the information, we should be able to understand how can we describe, for example, tables. And that is the second graph that we are going to practice in our next class. Not only understanding the table, but we are also trying to figure out another thing that is also the pie chart. On the back of the sheet, you will see a lot of pie chart, also talking about the abortion. So we will try to practice how can we use English to describe pie chart and also the table in our 8th period of time this afternoon. So I will see you later. Don't miss us. Don't just go home, and we will still learn a lot of things. All right. So it's pretty much about the time, and ladies and gentlemen, stand up. Attention. Now.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. Everyone has.
你没有做这个，你没有。
我有。
就是明天那个家长吧，一边是他们拿去一边是来不及回来，跟他们的。3点还要那个吗？